It began in the glare of cameras, beneath the blinding gloss of reality television, the kind of setting where love stories aren't whispered in private, but broadcast to millions, shaped by producers and edited to fit an hour-long fairy tale. In 2021, the world watched as Matt James, the first black bachelor in franchise history, handed his final rose to Rachel Krikconnel, a young woman from Cumming, Georgia. There was no ring, no formal proposal, just a quiet promise that they would continue their journey outside the glare of TV lights. What began as a polished televised romance would, over the years, unravel into something far more complex, tender and revealing than any season finale could ever capture. Raquel was the kind of woman who seemed born from light. Soft-spoken, warm, carrying the small-town grace of a girl who once dreamed of simple things: love, family, a career that made her proud. Born and raised in Cumming, Georgia, she was the eldest daughter of Daryl and Kim Krikconnel, with a younger sister, Trinity, and a brother, Grayson. After graduating from West Forsyth High School in 2015, she earned a degree in marketing from Georgia College and State University in 2019. She joined the Alpha Delta Pi sorority for a time before walking away after attending a controversial plantation-themed event, a decision that years later would echo in ways she couldn't have imagined. By the time she met Matt James, she was working quietly as a graphic designer in Atlanta, designing campaigns and layouts, unaware that her life was about to become a national conversation. She was young, earnest, and hopeful, exactly the kind of contestant producers loved. But beneath the surface, Rachel had a quiet sense of introspection that didn't always fit the world she was stepping into. She didn't chase fame, she stumbled into it. Matt, on the other hand, was already something of a symbol. Raised in Raleigh, North Carolina, he was the son of Patty and Manny James, though it was his mother who raised him after his parents separated. Biracial black Nigerian father, white American mother, Matt had long been aware of how he was seen, how the world placed expectations on him. He had a disciplined edge, shaped by his years as a wide receiver at Wake Forest University, where he graduated with a degree in economics in 2015. He moved to New York City, carving a career in real estate at CBRE and founding ABC Food Tours, a non-profit dedicated to educating underprivileged children about food and wellness. He was athletic, charitable, and measured, a man trying to do everything right in a world that demanded perfection from him. When he stepped into the bachelor mansion, Matt wasn't just looking for love. He was stepping into a historical role, one burdened with representation, public pressure, and the weight of expectations no single person should have to carry. And when Rachel entered that mansion, something between them quietly clicked. Their connection wasn't the loud, explosive kind. It was a slow burn, an emotional tether that seemed to grow stronger with every episode. To viewers, their chemistry was undeniable. When the season ended and Matt handed her the final rose, the world cheered, but the story didn't end there. It rarely does. Shortly after the finale, the fairy tale shattered. Old photos surfaced, images of Rachel attending an antebellum plantation-themed party during college. Overnight, the internet turned into a courtroom. Words like racist, ignorant, and tone-deaf filled timelines. Rachel, who had once been celebrated, was now being condemned. Matt, whose public image was already under a microscope, was forced to confront something deeply personal under the glare of public judgment. The breakup that followed was painful, televised, and raw. During the After the Final Rose special, Matt announced their split. Sitting on that couch, Rachel's face reflected the kind of heartbreak that words can't soften. She had hoped for understanding, maybe forgiveness, but instead she found herself blindsided by the finality of it all. What hurt most wasn't just the breakup, it was that it happened on live television, that her private pain became public entertainment. For weeks, she went silent. Matt, too, seemed adrift, caught between the weight of public perception and his own conflicted emotions. Yet, love, real love, doesn't always vanish on cue. By April 2021, they reconnected, meeting in an Atlanta parking lot where a 6-hour conversation changed everything. They cried, argued, forgave, and rebuilt. By the end of that night, Rachel gave him a choice: commit or let go. He chose to stay. For the next 4 years, they seemed inseparable. Their Instagram pages told a story of shared adventures, sunset vacations, matching outfits, birthday celebrations, and little moments that felt effortlessly intimate. To the public, they were the model couple that made it through the storm. They laughed, traveled, talked about the future. Engagement rumors swirled. They discussed children, a home, marriage. They became each other's anchor in a world that constantly watched and judged. But what no one saw, not even the closest friends, was the quiet absence that grew between them, the kind of void that doesn't show up in photos, but lingers in the silences. While they appeared deeply connected emotionally, something vital was missing behind closed doors. Rachel was in love, profoundly so, but there was a stillness in her physical connection with Matt. She hadn't realized how long it had been since they'd shared true physical intimacy. The relationship that had begun under cameras had slowly become one where touch, desire, and passion faded into the background. She never spoke about it publicly at the time. Perhaps she didn't even fully understand it herself. But in the shadow of their love story, Rachel was living through an unspoken drought, years without sex, years of emotional closeness without physical connection. She wasn't waiting out of religious conviction or rebellion. It simply wasn't something she felt compelled to pursue. In January 2025, everything ended. The conversation that ended it wasn't explosive, just quiet, final, heavy. Matt told her he couldn't see himself marrying her. He didn't want to waste more of her time. For Rachel, those words cracked something deep inside. For nearly 4 years, she had believed they were building a forever. Now, in a matter of minutes, it was gone. The final blow came hours later when Matt posted a prayer on Instagram announcing their breakup, a public statement that felt to her cold and unnecessary. It was as if the same public platform that introduced them now witnessed their ending. In the weeks that followed, Rachel retreated. She deleted photos, withdrew from interviews, and tried to find meaning in the silence. Healing for her was not about distraction, but reflection. She started to piece together not only why it ended, but who she had become throughout it all. By October 2025, during a podcast appearance, she spoke publicly for the first time about the deeper truths behind their relationship. Her voice, calm but introspective, carried the weight of someone who had finally found the words to describe what had long gone unspoken. "I haven't had sex in years," she confessed. It wasn't said with shock value or bitterness, just honesty. She explained that even during her long-term relationship, intimacy wasn't a consistent or driving force. "I feel like a virgin again,"
I feel like a virgin again,
she admitted, adding that she now wanted her next time to be something meaningful, something special and incredible. For the first time, she described her realization.
I don't want to just give it up to anyone.
It's like almost like
She identified with demisexuality. Demisexuality, a term not often understood in mainstream conversation, meant that for Rachel, sexual attraction didn't occur without a deep emotional bond. She could appreciate beauty, acknowledge attraction, but it didn't translate into desire unless she felt emotionally safe and deeply connected.
It's been so long that I want it to be incredible.
It was as if she had spent years living this truth without the vocabulary to define it. Her revelation wasn't about judgment toward Matt or a public airing of grievances. It was self-discovery. She acknowledged that what they shared was genuine love, but it existed in a form that didn't fully align with her emotional and physical needs. It wasn't that she didn't love him enough. It was that she loved differently. And in understanding that, she finally understood herself. Now in 2025, Rachel is single, not dating, not seeking, not swiping on apps. She has turned her focus inward, on her career, her mental well-being, and her evolving identity. She still works as a graphic designer and influencer, but her voice now carries a different weight. No longer just the Bachelor winner, she's a woman who has peeled away the layers of public expectation to stand in the truth of who she is. When she talks about love now, she doesn't speak of grand gestures or social media perfection. She speaks of safety, comfort, mutual understanding. She has learned that intimacy is more than physical. It's emotional alignment, patience, and vulnerability. She's still hopeful, still open to love, but she's no longer rushing toward it. Her story, when stripped of its celebrity backdrop, becomes something universal. It's about the way women often compromise parts of themselves to fit into relationships that look perfect on the outside, but leave them quietly unfulfilled inside. It's about the courage to look back and say, "This is who I was, but it's not who I am anymore." For Rachel, love began as a televised fantasy, transformed into a real relationship, and ended as a personal awakening. The world met her as a contestant, but she emerged as something more, someone who now defines intimacy, desire, and love on her own terms. And in that perhaps lies the quiet triumph. Not in the rose she received, not in the love she lost, but in the self she found.